Good morning, friends, and happy Wednesday. It is June 25th, and I am grateful to be back. It has been well, I was back here last week, but before that, it was a long time. So it's good to be with you. Let's see if we can get our Facebook friends on and we'll get us started. So go ahead and put in the chat what you're grateful for today. Um, what is lighting you up with gratitude? Okay. All right. Put in the chat what you're grateful for. Jennifer says life. Grateful for how God has blessed me time and again, and he's still at it. He is good at that, isn't he? So faithful. Okay. It says the live didn't work, but I think it did. Okay, I think we're live. Okay. Um, Someone else says tropical storms that move away from us. Amen to that. Gosh, some of those storms that blow through, I'm just, wow. Yeah, amazed when lives and property are spared. Okay. Um, we've got some technology stuff we're working with here. Jen says, grateful for two amazing kids. Kathy's grateful for my children and the amazing souls that have grown to be. They have grown to be. I love that. Isn't family incredible? So cool when we get to do life together, watch our souls develop together and be some small part of that. It's so amazing. Alrighty. Well, let's get the recording. Oh, the recording is going. Okay. I thought I paused that, but you can tell I'm a little rusty on the technology. Um, okay, today I wanted to start out by just sharing a little bit of the heart and soul of doTERRA. We just hosted another Experience doTERRA, and it hit home for me again that doTERRA does not do things the easy way. And not only that, but their whole business model is reflective of a core philosophy and a way of being that is so inspiring to me. Um, so when we see the need for a particular oil, it'd be so much easier for us to just buy land, build a massive industrial farm, and just treat the locals there as employees. So they're not building their future. They're really just trading hours for dollars. But instead, what doTERRA does is we allow them to own or rent their own land and to build so much more income because we can source it from them and pay them more the way we do things. And the dignity that allows these small scale farmers, um, to me, just it's the world of difference because it's the same dignity that they offer us, right? Like they could just hire a sales force of salespeople, of marketers, and pay out, just a set amount. But instead, they say, "Hey, we know that you will do better work and that um, you'll retain your dignity if you own what you have built." And so that's what we do in doTERRA. We get to build our own asset that we can then pass on to whoever, our children, whoever we assign. And and then um, we treat it differently because it's our own. because it's something that we've built, something that we've created, it's now ours. And we all know that ownership changes everything. You know, the world has tried socialism, they've tried communism, and when people don't own their work, they treat it very differently. And ultimately, the quality goes down, the quality of life goes down. Um, it was interesting when our family was in South Korea, we always love to, you know, go to people's homes and talk to locals and find out, you know, what's life like for you, what's important to you. And as we were in South Korea, we we started researching life in North Korea. And so we just did some Googling and some Wikipedia and found that the average income, I don't want to say the wrong number, but I believe it was like $200 a month. Maybe it was less than that. I want to say it was like $1,000 a year in North Korea. And try to imagine eking out a living. Okay, yeah. So when I Google it, it says $70 to $80 per month is the average income in North Korea. So, I mean, that's just try to imagine creating any quality of life in that environment. So I'm just more passionate than ever about doTERRA's model, about their philosophy, about the way they respect our dignity, but especially how they respect the the desire of these growers to be sovereign. You know, sovereignty is something that America was built on, right? Like we wouldn't exist unless there was a soul deep desire to be sovereign. And that was at a national level, but at an individual level, that's that's what we value so much in America. And that's I think part of what makes doTERRA great is it respects that in every person on both sides of the bottle. So just want to share a couple of those thoughts today before we jump into some questions. Hopefully everybody has gotten word about the BOGOs. This is BOGO time and they are awesome. So do not snooze. I heard as of last night, we were 50% sold out of the BOGO boxes. It's probably a little higher than that today. So do not hit the snooze button on this one. Everybody loves cheaper or free stuff. So go out and buy one and get one. Um, so let's jump into some questions. So go ahead and raise your hand if you want to come on live and talk through anything. Um, it could be what it is you're currently creating with your doTERRA community. It could be blocks that you're coming up against. It could be limiting beliefs, money blocks, anything. We're game for any conversation. I did see a question in the chat about the chat bot. So we built an AI text line that you could text your questions to, and it would send back answers. That tool has become a really expensive tool to maintain. And so, you know, being free, it just is not sustainable. So we are recommending anyone that was using that to switch over to the Essential Life app. So you can just go to the App Store or the Google Play Store, just search up Essential Life, and it has that functionality and more. So definitely a very valuable tool. All right, Lorraine, I see you raising your hand. So if you just want to hop on um, as a panelist.
Good morning.
Bonjour,
Bonjour Annie.
comment ça va?
Ça va bien et toi?
Très bien.
I'm really grateful for you to be here with us today. Thank you very much.
You're so welcome. Thanks for joining us.
I've got a kind of difficult question, difficult for me at least. But the question is I will give you more context, but in our doTERRA business, we have like onboarding process, not really a real onboarding process for the people that are open to join. It's quite open and organic. And at enrollment, if someone says they want to build, we enroll them as wholesale customer first, because we notice that a lot of them don't really build afterwards. And then we inform them that if they eventually want to enroll someone, we'll guide them to convert to wellness advocate at any time. So if there's a few months gap, we can move them when they recruit someone in the team. And the challenge that we are facing is that many people who initially express interest in building, they never really start. Some of them, the majority, don't even put an LRP in place. Or maybe they have an LRP for some months and then they eventually cancel it. So we have a lot that remain good product customers, but not a lot are really active. And we know that we heard it's kind of normal to have a lot of people that say they want to build, but they don't build. But we are considering to have maybe a better approach. And I would like to have your insight of what we were thinking, because we don't know if it's a good idea or not.
Yeah.
Uh,
Tell me more about your your training. Like, if they say they want to build, what's the process for explaining to them what that means, what it looks like, how to do it, how to get started? What is that specific onboarding process for those who want to build?
we were using the app Boards. I don't know if you know that app. It's like our academy Boards,
Okay.
and everything is stuck there. So when people say they want to build a business, we connect them into our Boards, and there
Mhm.
they can find a lot of videos for product and for business onboarding as well. And we refer through the Terra material if it's existing.
Uh-huh.
And we have a weekly team meeting for a business meeting if people want to come and ask questions. And we also have a weekly product lifestyle masterclass for client and team members as well.
Wow. So with the app board, do you have a way of tracking to see how many are actually watching or
We can see how many are watching, but we cannot see who.
okay. What are your percentages?
I have no idea. But
I'd be
Alan,
curious.
do you know the percentage of people that are watching our videos on the board?
I can see, but I don't see who.
Yeah, but the percentage, the global percentage. No, we don't know that
Okay.
information.
I would just be curious to know, I guess first question, um, how are these people joining the business? Is it through like their organic network? Is it through social media? How are they
Oh, basically, it's by network.
through the network?
Yeah, it's not really much by social media yet.
Okay. So these are friends of friends. These are people in your team's network that are being invited into the business, and they're getting put into this app board, and then they're invited into team meetings and other ways to connect. Um, and like, what do you have like a rough idea of what percentage are engaging and actually doing an LRP, doing any kind of sharing?
I should have that number, but I would say that maybe 20%.
20%. Huh. Yeah, those probably aren't super low numbers as far as averages. Um, I'm curious to know though, like, how often do you get involved, like in a three-way or as part of the process, inviting them in, casting a vision, helping with their goals, and then the onboarding process.
We are switching to the three-way call since we had the call with Lindsay. Before we were doing a presentation, a
Okay.
group presentation, and so we are trying that, but it's kind of I think it's better, it's more personalized, but I'm not sure if the people are doing more, but here we were thinking, I don't know if it's a good idea. It won't change the number, I'm pretty sure, but to like have a maybe to ask them, the people that have access to the business group or the
Mhm.
boards, to commit to have an LRP, to really work with people that I don't know, want to commit at a minimum, but I don't know
Mhm.
if it's a good idea or not.
Hmm. It sounds like you're moving in the right direction, because I think um, your average person is probably not super skilled at getting people to not only catch a vision but also move into action. And so I think you're uniquely, um, it's unique for you to have that gift, and so for you to help train them and transfer that skill to them, it sounds like that's the right direction. Um, I've noticed, so when we do Experience doTERRA, obviously Natalie and I are there presenting, but these are not our prospects that are coming for the most part. It's our team members' prospects. And so our team members come with them for the whole weekend, and they're there to guide them through the vision casting, the goal setting, the plan making. It's very we expect their direct people to do a lot, and we just help with some of the big vision, the corporate tour, the presentation, the content. So I think you're heading in the right direction. I wonder if your people could just use a little more mentoring on how to inspire action, um, how to get, because it's easy to say yes. It's easy to think, oh yeah, I'll get around to that. But the fact is, we're bombarded by distractions, by um, so many ways to use our time and energy. So I think I love that you're moving into the three ways. Um, One thing that some of our teams are doing is challenges. And so you could do like a sharing challenge. And so just create a little more positive, peer pressure where everyone's doing it. Everyone has got a goal of some kind, and they're holding each other accountable. Um, we found that makes a huge difference. In fact, um, Eric Worre, um, he's doing challenges all the time, like the 100 Conversations Challenge, and just massive success because people know they have to return and report, and so that creates um, a whole new level of action and accountability.
Yeah, that's we're not we tried some challenges, but I think we have to figure it out how to inspire them to move into action, and
Mhm.
that's not easy. Because I think everyone is different, but
Yeah,
that's what we need to figure out.
yeah. The core is building a bridge for the new person of how this is going to meet their unmet needs. So first you have to know their needs and which ones are the unmet needs, and then building a clear connection of how action is going to bridge them into their unmet needs. So it takes time, right? You have to get to know them, get to know their landscape of life, and but you're familiar with Simon Sinek, and his TED Talk of how I think it's called How Leaders Inspire Action. If you haven't watched that,
No.
I'll drop a link in here. Um, it's
Thank
the
you.
whole circle thing of starting with why. So here it is. It's an 18.5-minute YouTube video.
Mm.
So, and if you're watching this on replay, just go to YouTube and search Simon Sinek, How Leaders Inspire Action. Awesome video.
Thank you so much. And
Yeah.
what do you think of the idea? I don't know if for sure it won't help with the vision, but we were thinking maybe having like a mandatory um, course, like to complete the doTERRA business building certification. But I don't know if things like that will help people to, because I'm not assuming, I'm sure a lot of them, even if we are saying do that, I'm sure the majority of them, they are not doing it. So
Yeah, we've found that forcing people to go through online training never works too well. They, you know, nobody wants to have to do something, and
mm,
that's the energy of online trainings is I'm only doing this because I have to. And so I think you're spot on. It's probably not going to move the needle in terms of action for these prospects. Um, I think community is where it's at. So any type of community activity that so I know some teams where they just have a standing time every week where people just come together, and that's when they're inviting to classes, inviting to experience doTERRA, whatever. Like they just have a set time, and they're just playing music and working together. There's not a lot of interaction, but they know that if they don't have that standing appointment, it's probably not going to get done. And so that's actually on Laura Jacobs' team, and it's worked really, really well. So, and they don't have to be in person. People can show up on Zoom. You're just listening to music and doing your work. But the fact is, um, most of us are still in some state of loneliness from like COVID times, and still trying to rebuild some of those social connections. So any chance we can give people to join a community, I think that's one of the greatest needs that doTERRA meets is the social. So and while other companies are abandoning our model, we're doubling down. And that's one of the main reasons is because there's such a huge hunger and a need for that. And I think I saw a statistic, it was actually Kirk Jowers who shared it with us, that 17% of people in the US have no meaningful connection with anybody during any given week. And so they might see people at a grocery store, they might walk by people on the street, but no meaningful. I mean, they literally live alone, work alone, they travel alone, they live in their box, stay in their lane, and it's a crisis.
yeah, it's sad. And I don't know, maybe there just got other people that have questions, but if at some point you would be okay to share what you are doing and share the Terra experience. I don't know if it's the correct name.
Yeah. So Experience doTERRA is a model that we've been doing for 5 years. It's super duplicatable. In fact, we have teams all around the world who are duplicating their own versions of it. If you go to, let me just confirm this before I give a false web address. Okay, yeah, this is it. So if you go to sharesuccess.com/leadership, we have the PowerPoint that we use for Experience doTERRA. We have the schedule that we use for Experience doTERRA. And so you could literally, like we had Melody Watts, who's a double diamond. She started coming to our Experience doTERRAs and she's like, oh, I could do this. And she lives up in Idaho. And so they're not doing a corporate tour. They just show the video of the campus tour. And she still sometimes has a corporate guest, but she's found it really isn't that important. And so, and then we've got teams in Minnesota and other places that are doing their own. But the whole purpose of the event is to build belief. We build belief in product and we build belief in the business and in themselves. And that's really what everything is designed around. The specifics of the content are not as important. Don't feel like you have to do, follow the schedule to a T, use every slide we use. Please don't, because a lot of the slides are just, people's stories. And so like Amy Fulmer has her full story with her family photos, and our story with our, like, don't tell our stories. Use your stories and make it your own. I know Melody spends a lot of time talking about like toxic free living. She's really passionate about that. And she also teaches the whole Symphony of Cells. And so she's doing demonstrations during hers. We don't do that part, but it works for her. So make it your own. Don't get too married to the specifics of what we're doing, but definitely take and run with it. Again, it's another live event, and people, I think it was Seth Rismay taught me that people make big decisions at big events. So just if we can get back in the habit of holding regular in-person events, I think we'll see massive results.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for jumping on. It's always good to see your face and hear your latest.
Yeah, I'll keep you in touch. Thank you very
Okay,
much for everything.
absolutely. Let us know. Okay, we had oh shoot, somebody was raising their hand. Ria. So if you still have a question, Ria, feel free to join us as a panelist. If not, we've had a few more questions come in. Okay, Becky says our team loves challenges too. Oh yeah, Becky also says the check-ins using the strategic check-in form is super helpful for community and accountability. So amen to that. And then Cindy says, if we're asking people to go through an online training, it can come across as controlling. And so the way we invite is super important. We want to manage expectations. Okay, and then we had Ashley asks, can you share some ideas on how to reactivate many on a team? I have so many that haven't ordered in a long time. We do we do a couple different things with reactivation. If you subscribe to Enroll Pro, there are some fantastic resources there specifically for reactivation. And so there's whole emails, there are posts, there are just gobs of great content with that one goal in mind, just reactivation. And so we just, we take those templates, we do some customizing, we try to make it our own, but you could just take it and use it as is. So that's a great tool. Another tool that we do for reactivation is postcards. I know it sounds archaic, but I think that's part of why it works. Because we're so inundated with emails and texts and messages, like and spam calls. My gosh, I'm getting swamped with spam calls. I think that's why postcards stand out, because people are like, oh, it's physical. I can touch it, I can feel it. And so I think we take templates from onedropdesigns.com, and then we just, again, customize those. You probably don't need to think about postcards unless you have a pretty big team, just because this, you have to have pretty decent scale. But we've had an amazing return on investment with postcards. Okay. Kathy says, I was there this past weekend for Experience doTERRA. So good to connect with you and hear your story. And she says, it was not only inspirational to my new girls there, but myself as a leader as well. They shared with the team last night their experience and their belief in doTERRA and the business grew a lot. Awesome. Okay, great comment. Okay, go ahead and raise your hand if you want to come on with any more questions. And while we're waiting for the next raised hand, let me just, Becky mentioned the success check-in, the strategic check-in. So let me, let's see, I think there's two different forms. So let's go to the doTERRA Empowered Success and go check those out, because those are resources that we developed with Laura Jacobs and others, and they have made such a huge difference in our business. So you come to Empowered Success, and then you come down to the tools library, and this is where we have an absolute gold mine of tools. So here's the strategy check-in. So let's look at that one first. So this is a great form for people who are direct to you to use, just to give a high-level overview of how their week went. And so first, we're going to celebrate the wins, the victories, talk about what's working, and then start going into any challenges. But my favorite part is this page here, because this is the numbers. doTERRA is a numbers game. The people who have achieved the highest levels have really just talked to more people. And so this is where we track the numbers. How many people did we invite? How many presentations did we do? How many enrollments? And what support did we offer? So and remember, these three middle ones, IPE, are what move the needle and drive your business forward. So it's also a space for goal setting, talk through breakthroughs, and then check in with team calls, etc. So this is a fantastic resource, the strategy check-in. It's funny, I think it used to be called success check-in, but we also have this, which is the success tracker, which is kind of like your names list, but yeah, a little bit different. So those are two really great tools that we recommend. Also, if you have people that you're mentoring deeper in your team, I thought it was here. Yes, One Thing Mentoring. This is a fantastic tool. Let's say you've got someone reached out, they're like, oh man, I hit silver a year ago. I just haven't been able to get back there. So we have them fill out this form and rate themselves, so that basically they put down, they put a checkbox by the rank that they hit organically, and then they go to the next levels below that and they rate themselves on what's your belief in you. And we also have them rate themselves, how would you rate your commitment? How would you rate your modeling of success habits? And how would you rate your certainty? So there's multiple scorecards here. We used to have boxes in there, but it looks like they took them out. So a really, really great self-assessment tool here. So that's One Thing Mentoring. And then I saw another mentoring tool, Breakthrough Mentoring. Yeah, just again, another way to see if people's pipes are getting blocked up or they're not having the flow they want. This is a great way to evaluate how can we increase the flow. So anyways, just a couple of quick tools. Those are not in the launch guide. Those were in the Empowered Success section, the tool section of the Empowered Success website. So let me just put a link to that here. I think everybody knows how to get to Empowered Success. You just come down to the bottom of the web page and go to Empowered Success Training, and then go from there. All right, what are the questions you have today? By the way, I know doTERRA was updating the build guide. I'm curious if that has been updated. I'm seeing some new colors. Oh, wow. Check this out. Okay. I am watching this for the first time. So this is the build guide. So I was in the Empowered Success library and I scrolled down to build and then I clicked on download and check out the new build guide. So we've got a slightly different color green. That page is similar. This is pretty similar, but then check out this new spread. So, oh my goodness, they gave us the ranges. Oh, I'm loving this. Okay, so this is fantastic. Okay, so this has all the new comp plan stuff, and it's got the new pools. Oh, this is so great. I am loving this. Okay, so those of you who are maybe new to the build guide, I want you to notice the color coding. So notice how the unilevel part of this chart is green to match the unilevel, right? And then the pools, which is non-existent at the early ranks, but gets pretty significant at the higher ranks. And then the power of three, I probably would have drawn fast start and power of three bigger at the beginning, especially the unilevel. I mean, when you're elite, the unilevel is next to nothing. But anyways, the point is, this is there's a lot of data here if you have eyes to see it. So this is really exciting. And then obviously there's the schedule of how to set your expectations, how much time you put in and what kind of results you expect, and then your next steps. And that's awesome. Okay. So everybody go out and download the new build guide. This is so cool. I'm so grateful they got that updated. Okay, I thought I saw, oh, here it is, Q&A. So Chris says, where in Idaho is that person doing the success training? So I don't actually know. I thought it was Idaho Falls, but let's see if we can tell. So her name is Melody. Her husband's name is Walter Watts. Let's see if we can tell where they live. It looks like she doesn't have it on her Facebook. So I don't know exactly where. You're welcome to reach out to them on social media and see if they'll open it up to other people. But yeah, I mean, you could totally do that. Start running your own. There's really, it's simple. Don't make it complicated. The complexity doesn't duplicate. Simplicity does. We actually talked about that at Experience doTERRA. So anytime you're creating a process, always think, how can I make this more simple? All right. What are the questions you have today? Feel free to raise your hand or type them in the chat. And if anybody else has strategies or ideas for reactivation or for accountability, going back to the conversation with Lorraine, what are ways that you've created, help move people into action? It's easy to get them to commit. How do you move them into action? So put that in the chat too. What's working for you? All right. Any other questions? All right, Ruth. Let's bring you on as panelist. Hi, Ruth.
Hi. I have a couple of things, but don't want to take away the time if other
You're
questions
great.
come in. Okay. I'm curious if anybody has tips on BOGO week, especially now that they launch everything at once. Used to be when it was a new pairing each day, then there were felt like more touch points or reasons to continue to reach out, which is fine. I don't have a preference. I think sometimes knowing all at once is great, but my question is if you or anybody has ideas to share on how to make the most of BOGO week and how to engage people or how to share the products without overloading people at one time with all the information or just whatnot. That's one thing. And then the second, just to tag on, uh, I I have so much confidence in doTERRA as a company and the products. I still find myself like, who am I to tell you what's going to help you? Or that lack of confidence or knowing how to help empower other people. I love it. I want to use it. It's making a difference for me, but I can't guarantee anything. So how do I show up and really help people feel the energy of this is awesome, it'll change your life?
Awesome. Great clarity. So if everybody wants to put in the chat what's working for you with BOGOs, or if you want to raise your hand and come on and share, that'd be great too. So love to hear everyone's ideas. In terms of confidence in sharing solutions with others, I think I totally hear where you're coming from. It can be intimidating or downright scary to think people are trusting me with their health, trusting me with their well-being, and I want to share an experience that I had with one of my coaches and mentors. He was coaching someone, and he was inviting them to choose in to their health and their business in a big way. And it was a big ask that he was asking him to do. And what he and I was like, how can you do like how can you do that and bring so much certainty to that conversation? I was like, like you speak as if you're a prophet, like just speaking possibility into this person's life. And he looked me in the eye and he said, I know for a fact that if I don't do it, no one will. And it hit me so hard. Like we are put into these situations and these relationships for a reason. And I truly believe that everything is orchestrated so perfectly. And I would much rather, in the next life, I would much rather know that I had done everything in my power to open the doors of possibility for people rather than letting them down. Like what if you had held the key that would have unlocked the cell of their prison, but you were a little too timid and you were a little too shy and you weren't assertive in sharing. The fact is we hold those keys. And I have seen enough miracles, I have seen enough breakthroughs to know without any doubt that we hold those keys. And so you are put in their lives at the right time, at the right place to, to put those keys in their hands and say, just turn the key, open the door. And so it's really, to me, a shift in mindset to say, not only is it a privilege for me to be the one here opening this door for them, it's almost a duty. Because what if nobody else does? What if, if we look at the trends in health in America, they're not great. They're really, really abysmal. 77% of youth cannot serve in the military because of obesity or drugs. That's downright scary. Who's going to protect our country? And so I think my invitation to you is ask yourself the question, what if I'm the only one who offers this to them? What if there is no one else? I truly believe that most doctors have great intentions, but the fact is they don't have the right tools. That the system is broken for them to truly liberate people in their health. So, yeah, I thought Amy's asking if the number was 77%. I thought that was the number. I actually have another cool thing that I want to show you guys, but let me just check back in. There's some great comments if you want to go back and read some of those, Ruth. So yeah, how's that landing for you, Ruth?
Yes, it's landing. I feel it, and I appreciate that. I know, a few people popped into my mind. I know I need to, or get to talk to again, where I've shared before and offered before, but I do think that going back in, revisiting with more confidence could really change their lives.
Yeah. Yeah, I think of the countless people that Natalie had the courage to be bold with, and how incredibly grateful they are today, for the solutions, for the freedom, for the health that's come as a result. So be bold in asking. And the great thing is, and Seth hit on this at the Experience doTERRA this last weekend. He said, if you pose the question as, are you open? Are you open to up-leveling your health? Are you open to looking at natural solutions? Are you open to committing to a wellness lifestyle? If the answer is no, then that's 100% on them. It has nothing to do with you. And so you can just release any, fears about, am I being too pushy? Am I being overbearing? Because if the question starts with, are you open? Then it just really, it softens the personal nature of the invitation. Does that make sense? So, yeah. Great questions, though.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for jumping on, and I'll bet there are a lot of us on this call who can relate. So thank you so much for being their voice, Ruth. Okay, we had a question come in confirming that number. Let me just, yep, it's 77%. So, and let me just give a sneak peek into a new tool that just became available over the weekend. So, let me share my screen. So this is a class presentation that we've been working on with Seth Rismay, and it's inspired by the book by Casey Means called Good Energy. And here are a couple of the stats that are pretty sobering about the state of health in America. So in adults, 74% are overweight or obese. 50% have type 2 diabetes or prediabetes. That number back in 1950 was 1%. Half of us are expected to have cancer in their lifetime. That's staggering. That is such a shocking statistic. Autoimmune diseases are going up 13% every year. Infertility is going up 1% a year. Heart disease, which is almost totally preventable, is the leading cause of death, killing 800,000 people per year. In young adults, cancers have increased 79% in the last 10 years. 25% of men under 40 experience ED. And here's the number, folks, 77% cannot serve in the military because of either obesity or drug abuse. It's 77%. That leaves 23% left who are eligible. In teens, 30% are pre-diabetic, 18% have fatty liver disease, and in children, 1 in 36 have autism. The crazy thing about this last number, in California, the number is 1 in 20, and in males, it's 1 in 12 in California. These, the numbers of autistic back in the, gosh, even 20 years ago, were like 1 in 70. And so it's shocking what's happening, and it's not getting better, it's getting worse, and it's getting faster. And so she says, we're getting destroyed, and it's very recent, and it's accelerating. So this is one of 76 slides in a new class. I'll just share the overview to give you a feel for the flow. And it's called Healthy, Fit, and Sharp. And I am so excited. People have been loving this every time Seth does it. We just made it available for purchase. So for those of us who are interested, I think it's $9.95. There is the link there in the chat. If you are watching this on replay, I'll put that link in the comments in the description of the video. And I'll post it on the Share Success Facebook page as well. But I think many of us are probably finding that teaching the old classes just isn't getting people quite as excited as it used to. And so this is a new message that is timely and urgent and landing very, very well. Holy smokes. Gene is saying that the number in 2005 was 1 in 150. Wow. Yeah, exactly. Jeff is saying the chemicals in our environment is astounding. So yes. So go and grab this download if you want. We are working on a script, but if you send me a private message, I'll send you a recording of Seth teaching the class so that you can hear him and you can see when he throws in some stories. You can hear his pacing, but he gets the whole thing done in like 50 minutes. So it's concise, it's potent, it's a great presentation. So yeah, any other questions? Yep, I put it on Facebook too. Okay. Awesome. So if you want to get the record. So after you purchase the PowerPoint, just send me an email. And the email is andy@sharesuccess.com. And I'll send you the recording of Seth teaching, so that you can see exactly how he does it. Yeah. By the way, the AI text line is going away. It just became really, really expensive to manage that. So we just recommend that people go and get the Essential Life app. The Essential Life app has all the data. It's a fantastic tool. So unfortunately, it was not sustainable to keep the AI tool going. It was just a stopgap while the book was out of print. We're hoping the book does come back into print, but until then, we do have the app, which is fully functional. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining today. It's always a privilege to be here in this space, to be on this mission together, and to be changing lives. So never forget that is the business that you're in, of healing the world, of changing lives, of lifting and liberating others. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next week.